Sometimes you come across a single piece of paper from a court file that tells a story that just seems, well, impossible. Today, we're doing a forensic dive into a sworn legal invoice that appears to bill for a client's death before she even died. It's a document that really makes you question time, truth, and money. Let's get into it. This is where the fraud becomes darkly absurd. This quote from one of our sources just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures the strange territory we're about to explore. As we start to unpack the evidence, you'll see just how fitting that description really is. So, what are we actually looking at here? At the core of this whole thing is a legal document called a certification of services. Now, you can just think of it as an official invoice that an attorney submits to a judge under oath to get paid from an estate. The key thing to remember is that it's supposed to be a totally factual record of work that has already been done.
Okay, let's zoom in on this one single line item from the invoice. Look at the date, October 3rd, 2024. The attorney, K.H., billed for correspondence with OPG on new accounting. That phrase right there, new accounting, is absolutely crucial.
So, what is this new accounting? Well, it refers to what's called a first and final accounting, and that's the official paperwork you file to close out a person's financial life after they've passed away. In fact, the legal filing itself describes the client, a woman named Nadia Romanov, as now deceased. But here's the thing. Here is the one simple, documented fact that makes this whole story completely impossible. According to the official records from the Office of the Public Guardian, the very agency that hired this attorney, Nadia Romanov didn't actually pass away until October 18th, 2024. And that leads us to the big, glaring, unavoidable question. How on earth can an attorney bill for work on a deceased client's final affairs on October 3rd when that same client was still alive for another 15 days? All right, Section 1, the players and the paperwork. To really wrap our heads around how a document like this could even get filed with a court, we first have to understand who's who in this story. So first we have Nadia Romanov, the incapacitated person at the center of all this. Then there's the New Jersey Office of the Public Guardian, or OPG. That's a state agency that steps in to manage the affairs of people who can't do it themselves. The OPG hired an outside lawyer, Kimmo, Abbasi, to handle the legal work. And the document we're looking at is that final bill he sent in to get paid from her estate. Okay, Section 2, anatomy of a bill. Now, that impossible timeline, it's not the only problem with this document, not by a long shot. So let's take a closer look, because the issues here go much deeper than just a single date. In that same sworn certification, right there in black and white, Attorney Abbasi tells the court, "I have incurred legal fees and expenses." The past tense there is everything. He is swearing, under oath, that this is for work that is already finished, done, in the past. But then, just look a little further down on the very same bill. What do we see? Two entries that aren't dated in the past at all. They're literally labeled future. The attorney billed the estate for work that, according to his own invoice, had not even happened yet. I mean, the contradiction is just staring you right in the face when you see it side by side. On one hand, he swore to the court that all the fees had been incurred. On the other, his own invoice lists work that was still to be done. The document basically invalidates itself. All right, Section 3, a tale of two Octobers. Let's go back to that impossible date and just lay out the official timeline, because the documents here reveal two completely different stories of what happened that month. So here's a real sequence of events pulled right from the case files. On October 3rd, the attorney submits the bill for his now-deceased client. But then, 2 full weeks later, on October 17th, the OPG's own internal log shows an entry for a status update from the hospice team about Nadia Romanov. She was still alive. It wasn't until the very next day, October 18th, that their log officially records expired notice of death. So what are the stakes for filing a document with these kinds of inconsistencies? That brings us to a very serious legal concept. Section 4, under penalty of perjury. So what exactly is perjury? Well, it's not about making a simple mistake or a typo. The definition is really specific. It's the offense of willfully, meaning on purpose, telling a lie in court after you've taken an oath to tell the truth. And this isn't some abstract idea. The document itself has this warning printed right above the signature line. It says, plain as day, that the person signing is subject to punishment if any of the statements they've made are willfully false. Okay, last section, the final accounting. So you might be wondering, why does this one bill for about $4,000 matter so much? To really get its full impact, you have to see it in context of all the money being taken from this estate. See, this $4,430 legal fee wasn't some standalone thing. It was just one slice of a much bigger pie. The total bill to Nadia Romanov's estate was over $65,000. And as you can see, that included some pretty massive fees and commissions for the OPG itself, all being paid for out of Ms. Romanov's assets.
And so we end up right back where we started. We have a sworn invoice with a date that's literally impossible, a certification that contradicts its own itemized list, and we have official records that tell a completely different story. And all of this leaves us with one final and, I think, crucial question. When a sworn document filed in a court of law so clearly conflicts with documented reality, who gets held accountable?